and welcome back to another episode of JP and the Beanstalk.
You bet. Happy Paul Skeens Day to all of you Pittsburgh Pirate fans out there. Let's be honest, I'm not a Pittsburgh Pirates fan, but I love Paul Skeens.
You like his stash, don't you?
I like his stash. I like his style.
He's got a good stash.
I'm jealous of his ability. Never had anything close to it, but I respect it.
Something to behold.
It is magnificent. Just incredible elite productivity. So it's always good. Whenever that day comes, I wear my Paul Skeens shirt and celebrate the holiday once, sometimes twice a week. It's pretty great. It's the gift that keeps on giving. So
fair enough.
I got that going for me, which is nice. Beans, it's great to be here with you.
Oh, I'm glad to have you back.
How about that? We're in the thick of the summertime. The weather's glorious. The movies and shows keep cranking out, and we're here to just absorb it all, which is really nice. Yep. I had an opportunity. Shout out to my guy, Rob, owner of Limited Edition Comics in Cedar Falls. Love that guy. Stopped into his shop over the weekend and was able to acquire a new comic called War of Kings. New to me, mind you. I shouldn't say new. In terms of where it falls in the whole Marvel storyline. It's an Inhuman-based story. Takes place shortly after the secret invasion of the Skrulls doesn't work out. And then the Inhumans go on a little bit of a warpath, if you will. So, really great read. Like I said, brand new to me, not brand new to comics, but highly recommend if you're looking for something to get into out there. So always fun to find a new comic. That just makes the weekend better.
Yeah,
from my perspective. So how was your weekend?
It was good. It's good. It's very good. You know, it's just been. I'm ready to relax. Mm-hmm. I'm ready to just breathe in, breathe out. Mm-hmm. Not that this weekend was crazy, but it just feels like life's just been busy.
Could be.
You know, that's just how it goes. I'm going to Florida in another week, and we're looking forward to Florida, baby. We're looking forward to Florida.
That's how you should be looking forward.
Absolutely.
To it. That's great.
So, yeah, but you know, it's hot here. Mm-hmm. It's hot there. I'm winning either way. So
not a bad thing, Beans.
No, not bad at all.
Not a bad thing. Well, we're excited to be here with you. We have multiple shows and movies to provide our recaps for. We have Karate Kid Legends, which I got to see. Andor, which I finally wrapped up, season 2. You saw Ballerina, which is great.
John Wick spinoff. We have to be very specific that it was a John Wick spinoff.
I didn't say you went to the ballet.
Just wanted to make it very clear. I did not go watch a movie called Ballerina.
You did, though.
By myself. Which I did.
But you did.
But it's John Wick spinoff. So it's okay. It's not weird.
I think if you had gone to a weird and off-brand movie, this would be the perfect place to talk about it.
Yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Record it all and see what happens.
This is on brand, I promise. So,
our dear sweet James Gunn, spilled his guts to the fine folks at Rolling Stone. That sounds like it was some kind of a confessional. It was far from that. But he gave a very forthright and candid and transparent interview, which I would say is extraordinarily rare. Particularly in the sense that the guy isn't at any point during the interview trying to sell us something. And so it'll be fun to have some dialogue around what he shared as it pertains to, of course, the upcoming Superman movie and DC Studios as a whole. So to his credit, he keeps giving us fans what we want, which is information. So be fun to dialogue on that front as well. And then, of course, we'll look a little bit ahead to, hey, what's coming up next on that summer movie slate? There continues to be bangers that abound. And finally, we'll tie things off with another classic JP and the Beans top 5 for you good people. So without further ado, let's get into some recaps. So we're going to go a little bit of every other. I'll talk about Karate Kid Legends. You'll talk about Ballerina, which is a John Wick spinoff, not a movie about ballerinas. Or is it? Well, we'll find out. Well, and then I'll recap a little bit of Andor season 2. See, I knew it.
It gets it from the name, all right? I understand.
Yeah, we're get you in the appropriate corner. So I got to go see Karate Kid Legends with my oldest son and had a blast at the movie. It's in that hour and a half, hour 45-minute runtime, so far from the longest movie that a person is going to see, on the shorter end of the summer blockbuster spectrum. But of course, our guy Jackie Chan is in the flick, so always good to see Jackie. The original Karate Kid, Ralph Macchio, continues to portray Daniel LaRusso. It's been like 40 some years now that our boy Ralph has been carrying the Karate Kid torch. That's actually kind of impressive.
And
I find it more impressive than sad. Like there's a path where you could go, do you have anything else to do, bud? I don't think he does, but I also think in this case, that's okay.
He carried it well.
Yeah.
Like it's not like he was like that guy that's like, oh, I'm the Karate Kid, look at me. And it's also not like, oh, I don't associate myself with that role. He's right. There's a good middle ground in there.
That's right.
And technically he should just be the karate guy now. He should just be the karate dude.
The karate dude.
Hey, it's the karate man.
It's the karate fella.
Yes. So
yeah.
No, he's carried that torch well, I feel like. So now it's his time.
Yeah. But Jackie Chan as Mr. Han and Ralph Macchio as Daniel LaRusso make a good odd couple of sorts when it comes to the training of young Li Fong, played by Ben Wang. Ben, new to the crew, haven't seen Ben in anything before. I thought he was
first
terrific.
movie, isn't it?
If it's not, it's got to be right up there. Certainly first full length, hey, you're the guy. And to Ben's credit, like he did an outstanding job of carrying his role throughout the movie. I'm not going to say he carried the movie per se, but he wasn't asked to. I will say it was great to see a new face that was not a weak spot in the slightest. Not only did he execute the action scenes really well, but during the more emotional moments of the film, he was really outstanding. So I was highly impressed. Yeah, highly impressed. Joshua Jackson, for those of you of, perhaps my age bracket, Mighty Ducks fame, he came up in this movie. And at first when he appeared, I don't know, 15 minutes into the movie, I thought, oh, that's a nice cameo for Josh. No, he stuck around for the whole dang thing. And he was terrific. He was terrific. For as aged as Joshua Jackson is, and let's just go to the tape here. Josh, where are we at, bud? Josh, little personal bio. Bear with me. Gosh, Mighty Ducks. I mean, to that guy's credit, he was from Canada. How can you not be in Mighty Ducks? It's a freaking hockey movie. Okay, he was born 1978, was Josh. So, all right, we're on the higher end of 45, right? We're pushing that 47. He looked good. He played a former boxer and got back in the ring in this movie and looked the part doing it. So I didn't know Joshua Jackson had that in him. Wanted to give him props. You got to give the older guys credit when they're still crushing it. So way to go, Josh. That was fun to see. Overall, it's a fun flick. Here's the reality. Does this movie need to exist? Of course it doesn't. Like, we never got another Karate Kid movie. The world would keep spinning. Our movie-loving hearts would be just fine. And yet, I'm really glad this movie existed. The action was terrific. The story was solid. Far from original, but also entirely on brand with, it's a Karate Kid story. This kid's going to get trained on how to either learn karate entirely or, in this case, improve his karate and or kung fu skills. So if you haven't seen it, recommend, go see it with a friend. It's a good time. So there you go. There's my Karate Kid Legends plug for the pod. Beans, I saw a movie about people doing karate and kung fu. Tell us about this movie of ballerinas.
Oh, just constant action? Constant action?
Is that what you would call ballet? Constant action. That's good for you.
I mean,
that's the case.
The one ballet scene we get, she's doing the same thing over and over again while her feet are bleeding. So who's winning? Who's winning? Do you think I'm right on the you make your ballet jokes? This movie was legit. All right. First of all,
convince us.
Before we all get into the whole spiel of the movie, okay, John Wick does show up. Let's just get that out of the way. He's got a nice, crisp 10 to 15 minutes in this movie. It's fantastic. He makes a cameo in the front. You're like, oh, that's great. And then at the last 10 to 15 minutes of the movie, he makes his presence known, and it's beautiful. And he actually plays a very important part in the ending.
Nice.
So yes, John Wick, Keanu Reeves, beautiful. I would watch John Wick till he's 85.
Where does this movie, where does Ballerina fall in the timeline of John Wick films? There have been 4. Is this after the 4th, is this tucked into a space between 3 and 4 or 1 and 2? What does that look like?
I haven't looked this up. It's definitely after 1.
Yep.
So I want to say it's probably, I would say it's between 1 and 2.
Interesting.
Because of what happens in 2 that causes 3 and 4.
Yep.
So it can't be around there. So I'm guessing it's after
earlier
1
rather than later.
Yes, because of where they are at in that story. So, and it could be smack dab in the middle of 1 as well.
Yep.
Just the way it worked. But yes. So Ana de Armas's character, first 10 minutes of the movie, you find out her dad's an assassin, of course, because why not?
Runs in the family.
Just like how Keanu's wife, John's wife, was dead and then died, and then his dog was killed, and it gets him back into the game for killing people. She watches her dad die in front of her, and so then she's like, vengeance. And so she goes down the assassin path, just like her father, goes the same family that she went to, and you watch her go from this little kid to train to be one of the head female assassins. And then you watch her take out pretty much an entire city of this cult of this cult family of assassins,
evil
essentially.
Assassins.
Yes, so no one really likes them, but
there's good assassins along with the evil assassins, right? It's not like, hey, you're all bad. It's like, no, we need some good ones in there.
And that's actually how they portray her family. So her crime, well, I shouldn't say crime, her assassin
Strictly
family.
Speaking, it is a crime, right? You're going to be killing people. You're on the wrong side of the law.
They are trained and hired to protect specific people. So they go in, like her first mission, they show she's protecting some dude's daughter from her dad because her dad wants her dead or whatever. So so she's like on the run, and that's how she finds the cult family, because she's like, oh, these are the people that killed my dad. I'm going to go find them and kill them. So just fantastic fight scenes all around. You get some sweet hammer scenes. The best part of the entire movie is you get like 15 minutes with flamethrowers. It's epic. Dude, it's great.
So in the course of the John Wick films, of which now we can say Ballerina has been folded into that group, what have been for you some of the highlights in terms of the weapons used? So flamethrower, that's fantastic. You also mentioned a hammer. A hammer in the hands of an assassin can do some gnarly damage. What else? What other tools, weaponry can you recall off the top of your head that you've gone, well, that was freaking sweet?
Well,
who expected a person to be killed in that fashion? Like, I'm thinking of the Equalizer movie with Denzel Washington, and where he is just putting fools down in a hardware store with things like nail guns, barbed wire, just anything and everything that's on the shelves, finding some really creative ways. A giant pair of gardening shears at one point.
Yeah, see, dude, there's so much I have to go through in my head.
Absolutely.
First of all, I have to shout out how John Wick just reloads his guns. Like, if you ever watch his pistols, he just flings it out. That's something Keanu came up with himself. So to do, and now a lot of people do it, which is hilarious. So you have that. I remember, I think it's John Wick 2 with the pencils. Like, there's a scene where he just gets gnarly with a couple of pencils, and you're like,
that'll do it. Yep.
I'm trying. Oh, geez. So
sharpen your pencils, everyone. Don't use those mechanical things. Use the OG.
He gets in a fight with Common. You know that the actor rapper,
of course,
and John Wick 2 as well. And he stabs him in the chest with a knife, but he stabs it in the spot where he's like, "Look, it's not going to kill you, but if you pull it out, you will die. So I recommend you leave it in there till you get to somebody that can take it out." And and he just leaves, and it's gnarly. I think of in the Ballerina from recent memory, there's just a katana lying around in a burning building. She takes and starts slicing people up.
Yeah.
Think Keanu also in, I think it might have been 3, has some nunchucks, and those are sick. Mm-hmm. Again, it's foggy because there's a lot of fight scenes. Because if you've watched John Wick, and if you haven't, it's just a massive action sequence. Correct. A massive action sequence. Keanu says maybe 10 lines in each movie. Yeah. And
it's the same idea as like a Mad Max movie where it's like, we're here to watch crazy things and we're going to squeeze a story into the movie so that there's a reason for it to exist.
Don't compare it to Mad Max. That's insane. That is insane. Beautiful. John Wick's storyline is actually fantastic. And him not talking actually fits into the whole narrative of him being the Baba Yaga, the boogeyman.
He's the boogeyman. With a Mad Max Fury Road reference once every 6 or 7
I'm calling out your bullshit, okay? Because that's what that is. That is bullshit, all right? So, yes, John Wick, there are incredible fight scenes, even like with the cars. Mm-hmm. But it's just... I don't know. I don't know how to all explain it, but there's just some gnarly kills in this one as well, and it's fantastic.
Here's a comparison that you might appreciate a little bit more is how similar they are to Mission Impossible movies, where there's a clear mandate each time a new movie is being, in this world is being made of how can we blow the minds of the people watching this movie more, right? So the similarity is the creativity with which action scenes are composed. In other words, what's a new way that we can kill somebody? Just to really overly simplify it for a John Wick movie. And then in the Mission Impossible movies, like, what's the most ridiculous and absurd way we can have Ethan Hunt solve this worldwide crisis? Like, what's the most absurd stunt he could pull off without actually dying for real? It's a very similar appeal, I think, in the John Wick movies as with the Mission Impossible movies of you're going to see something that's, from a creative perspective, unlike what you have seen at the very least in these previous iterations or these previous chapters of these stories, in all likelihood, unlike what you have seen in any movie prior. Is that a fair?
I would say,
does that resonate a little bit better with you?
I would agree with that.
Okay.
I would agree with that. Yes, that one's... Because here's the other thing I will say. Mm-hmm. The world building that both have, a lot better than Mad Max. So I would say that as well. So, yes, I agree. I will give you the Mission Impossible.
Mad Max. Oh, it's so good.
It's terrible. So, like, just the way John Wick, the world of John Wick, the rules that everybody has in place, these other assassin families around the world, the Continental, all of that is a very fascinating world that they've built. Right. Mission Impossible, yes, it's spy movies. Who doesn't like spy movies? Mad Max, everybody's just dying or dead. Or like, why are they alive? Kind of thing. So
duct taped together.
And they drink gas.
I think what I appreciate having, just like observing John Wick kind of from afar, is as the movies have come out, they have increased the depth of the world, right? Like they have unpacked more, and it's been to those movies' benefits, right? Like they really started out fairly small scale with the first John Wick movie, and as they've just opened up, it's almost like that Russian doll. It's like, here's another one, here's another one, here's another one. It just gets more in depth in a really positive way, like in a organic, believable fashion. Becomes more believable the more that you see. That's pretty unique. That's pretty unique.
I would agree.
Yeah.
It's one of those movies, and you probably feel this way about Mission Impossible too. It's like, how are they going to top the last one?
That's exactly right.
Yes.
That's exactly right.
That's what I feel about John Wick 5. I believe that just got announced. I'm like, if you haven't seen John Wick 4, so I won't say anything. But with John Wick 5, you're like, what are you going to do? Legitimately, the way they ended that movie, you're like, I don't know how you go from here. So I'm very, very interested to see that front. I will say, if they want to keep doing spin-off movies, though, this was very enjoyable. Right. And it's Ana de Armas does not have to come back again. And it was still a very satisfying movie for me to watch and be like, oh, this is just a cool spin-off, one-shot tale.
Yep.
We don't need to see her again if we don't really want to.
Right.
Another thing I really appreciated about this movie, and this might get me some heat, but I really enjoyed how when she's in her training, she's fighting a guy the whole time.
Yep.
And they go in depth with like...
Yep.
This dude's kicking her ass.
Mm-hmm.
And another girl who's in charge of all the training, she's like, you need to fight like a girl. You need to fight dirty. You are not going to out-physical him, which automatically sets the tone that she's going to fight a lot differently than John.
Correct.
And I appreciated that from a not only a realistic standpoint, but it's also a different flavor. Because yes, we're still getting sick fights. She's still handling herself, but she's also not afraid to kick a guy in the nuts. John Wick's not kicking a guy in the nuts. He doesn't need to.
Right.
But she's doing it, and it's hilarious. So my point is, like, they did a very good job. It didn't feel like forced in that sense. Like, it made sense for that world, and I just was like, I appreciate this.
Correct.
So props to that movie as well for that.
Yeah, well, when you're going to have an entire movie, right? So anywhere in that 90 to 120 minute runtime of like Ana de Armas is I'm just going to say like average height female, right?
Yep.
So she's not an Amazonian in terms of her height and physical stature. So if you're going to believe that, hey, this person, right, this female can physically outmatch dudes that are physically more strong than she is throughout the entire movie, she's going to have to be more clever, more unique. And it's a great way of phrasing it, like fight dirty, right? Don't assume that you can go equal style and come out on top. You got to have a unique and somewhat unpredictable style. So lends itself to the movie being that much more.
I will be showing my daughters that movie. If I'm lucky enough to have daughters, I'm just going to be like, look, here's the deal.
Here's how you fight.
If there's a creepy guy,
just
hit him in the nuts. I'm okay with it as your father.
100%. It's the right shot to take. There is no doubt.
So, yes, great movie.
Very cool. Yeah, and hopefully, as you said, there will be additional spin-off. And it doesn't feel like they've overdone it. Not yet. I suppose it's possible, but they certainly haven't overdone it with the John Wick world.
No, and I'm trying to think of even their spacing.
Their pace of how these movies have been released has certainly been appropriate. They're not jamming these, they're not forcing these out for the sake of, let's just get the movie out and make some money. They've got a good story to tell each time they're putting one of these out. That's really cool.
It's about every it's probably on average every 3 years. And I appreciate that. Because the last John Wick movie we got was 2023.
Right.
So it's great pace.
Yeah.
And this is a great way to still have John Wick without having John Wick.
Yeah.
Because he has 2 fight scenes and they're iconic in this movie as well. I love how one lady's, he's just one man. He can't be that good. And just immediately is dead.
Yep.
He kills her immediately. So he's just an absolute unit.
Yeah.
But so there you go. Go watch it. Fantastic.
Great plug. Okay. There's glad you got to go see a movie about a ballerina. That's fantastic. If you're going to do it right.
He'd kick my ass.
Mm-hmm.
She would.
At least we know it. All right. Moving on. Andor Season 2. It's wrapped for a little while. I finally got through the dang thing, so I wanted to give it at least a little bit of due. There is so much meat on this bone. Like, there is a ton of directions that we could go or could discuss. I'm going to intentionally keep it relatively brief and just say a couple of things. First of all, it's extraordinarily well made. So I know there was, prior to Season 2 being dropped, a lot of kerfuffle around the overall budget of this show, to which I would say, who cares? Like, Star Wars has been printing its own money for a couple of generations now. So I don't think it matters, really, how much it costs Star Wars to make a Star Wars entity. It just doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. What I will say, and the reason I bring that up, is it looks exquisite. Like, there is no fluff in this show. And so whatever millions of dollars they ended up spending, all I can say is they spent it very well from an aesthetic point of view. The other just genuine strength of this show is that you don't have to have watched any other Star Wars to watch this show and appreciate what you're seeing. And I feel like that, especially in the Star Wars realm, is extraordinarily unique. Like, Star Wars almost always insists that, hey, you have seen several other movies and or TV shows before you watch this next Star Wars production in order to understand what's going on. I'm not saying that being familiar with Star Wars canon doesn't add to the joy of what you're seeing here. Of course it does. You're going to pick up on more Easter eggs, on more of the world building. But this show, never in season 1 nor in season 2, is it assuming that you as the audience member have seen anything to do with Star Wars prior to coming into this show. And that's really freaking unique. Thirdly, the character development is as good in this show as any other show that I have ever seen. I'm not saying it's better than, I'm just saying it's on the same level. There are so many characters that we get introduced to in season 1 that carry over and continue their stories in season 2. Some major, some minor, everything in between. And man, if anybody out there is going, I feel like this character got slighted, I don't know who on earth that could be, because it's really remarkable how so many characters, because it is a good like 8 characters at least that you're trying to keep tabs on and keep track of. And that's the smaller end of that number. It's 8 to 12, perhaps even beyond. Each one of those characters, I think, gets its due screen time, and most importantly, not just time, but transformation and development from when they were first introduced to where we ultimately conclude the show. So I won't get into the nitty-gritty of what the story is about. I don't want to ruin it for someone that hasn't seen it yet. Listen, this is a very slow burn. This is a crock pot show. Okay. So if you're going to get into it, and I felt this way about both season 1 and season 2, I was a good several episodes into season 2 going, okay, when are we going to introduce a little gas to the grill here? Because boy, the coals are burning low. Really, it's about the midway point of each season where all of a sudden, boom, the flames go up and it takes off in terms of its pacing. So if you're willing to be patient with it, I think the reward is worth it. And I'll say this too. If you're going, I am not willing to be patient, it's okay. That's all right. I don't think, and I mean this in a non-condescending way, this show is not for everybody. Okay. And I don't mean that as, if you're not watching it, you're some kind of a dumbass. It's a great show. It's not for everybody. And I mean that very sincerely, because there's too many people that are going, oh, well, this is a Star Wars show for adults, and trying to like draw some kind of ridiculous line of demarcation that if all you watch is other Star Wars content like The Mandalorian and not this, you're some kind of a child. Like, excuse me, you're watching a fictional television show set in outer space in planets that don't exist. Come at me with that crap of adults. This is fiction. It's science fiction. So spare me. Enjoy it if you enjoy it. And if it's not for you, guess what? There's a lot of other Star Wars content out there that probably is. So I'm all over the place a little bit. I recommend it. I think it's outstanding. I enjoyed the heck out of it. Watch it for the characters. Get drawn in by, well, there's some Star Wars stuff in here too, but from a character development perspective, friggin' outstanding. And good grief, Stellan Skarsgård is incredible. He's incredible. He's been in so much in my lifetime, and he's always good. This might be just my favorite role that I've ever seen him
really
play. It's incredible. He plays a rebel spy is probably the simplest way to phrase it. Yeah, we'll just leave it at that. But the number of different hats and faces that he has to wear is is pretty outstanding, and his character progression is at the top for me out of this whole show. So
sweet.
Kudos to Andor. It's a blast. Well worth it if you're willing to take the time. There you go. Andor season 2.
Dope.
Yep. There will not be Andor season 3 because Cassian Andor, perishes in Rogue One. So if you haven't seen that, you're not getting a season 3. Okay. What a unique thing. Let's get into a little bit of quick looking ahead to what's coming up next here in this summer of 2025. I would say overall it's been a solid summer thus far.
It's been great.
I have not yet, but intend to see, which I know you've completely cast to the side and said, no, I won't go do it. How to Train Your Dragon. I'm looking forward to seeing that live action.
Oh, no, I don't care. Well, I see what you mean. Yeah, no, I won't.
My recollection was you were very firmly in the.
I will go.
Not going.
No, I will go watch like the animated ones because that's where it started.
Yeah,
and that's where it should have ended.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give them props there. Right. Okay, I've heard they're great movies.
Yeah,
I will not. Yeah, just like for Disney, I will not pay for the live action remakes from.
You're so consistent. I appreciate that about you.
Yeah, I'm a man of my word.
You are. I'm gonna go see it, and I'm looking forward to talking about it. But I digress. Okay, we sit here on June 19th as we record this episode. The next 2 movies of, call it pop culture significance, that are going to come out. We've got F1 being released on June 27th. I'm excited to see that movie. It looks really freaking cool. All right. Brad Pitt, and I'm sorry now I'm forgetting young Elba's first name. Sorry, bud. Let me pull you up here. Higher production value. Would have had this ready already. Damson? 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 Okay. Damson Idris. I had him totally tagged as an Idris Elba. But that's not who it is. So, sorry, Idris. You know what? I just need a assistant that can help me out with names always.
Dude, I would love brutal. Just an assistant in general.
Well, sure. But
who I could just use as a. It's like in Monty Python in the Holy Grail, where he has the horse, but it's just a person. That's what I need.
Right.
Somebody just clack my coconuts behind me.
Put that on a t-shirt. Somebody clack my coconuts. Oh, that's elite. So regardless, the director is Joseph Kosinski, who cranked out the phenomenal Top Gun Maverick movie. So I think this is going to be a visual treat. Javier Bardem also co-stars. I don't know if the story is going to be worth a hoot. Who's to say? But I do think I can confidently say that visually this movie looks incredible. So as much as I'm not into racing, I'm going to go see this movie. It looks like a lot of fun. So F1, June 27th. And then on July 2nd, we have the live action remake. No, I'm sorry. I'm just kidding. Jurassic World Rebirth. Because let's keep making the movies about dinosaurs. Let's do it.
I will give him credit. This one actually looks a little bit better than the other Jurassic Worlds.
Okay.
The concept
about that. I want to get on board with you.
It just feels like they're going back to the original format. You know how like the first one is they're like, oh, we're bringing dinosaurs back, and then all hell breaks loose.
Whoops.
Dinosaurs are eating people left and right.
That's what they do.
This one, they have to go back into this already terrible dinosaur-infested land to save lives, human lives.
Yeah.
And there's danger everywhere. Yeah. Where the dinosaurs aren't coming to the United States.
Right.
This is a very small area of the world.
Sure.
And it just feels like you're back to the Jurassic Park of old in that sense. Sure. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Kind of a return to the roots.
A little bit. Sorts. Just a different concept that I think that'll work a little bit better. Now, I haven't seen the Jurassic World movies.
Yeah.
So I can't, and this is coming from a person that doesn't have all the context there is.
Which is okay.
Yeah. I understand the premise. Yeah. Dinosaurs get loose and eat people. It's a very easy premise to get behind. Okay.
Yeah.
This one just from the trailers of all the ones that I've seen in the past, this one just feels like it's very, they're not doing it does look like they have one scientifically designed dinosaur that's going to murder a ton of people, which just why not? But
yeah, I think like every other ongoing franchise that has been around now for decades, okay, just like we mentioned with John Wick and the Mission Impossible movies, they find new ways to execute the same idea. That, I would argue, as someone who has seen some of, and not all, of the Jurassic movies, is what they have done much more inconsistently, is you keep finding the same way to execute the same idea.
Right.
It's like, find a new way to make us go, whoa, wow. And not just in a scene, but throughout the movie. I mean, this doesn't need, it's okay if this movie is Transformers-esque in that the primary appeal is to see giant robots smashing each other. It's like the primary appeal here is to see giant friggin' dinosaurs.
And that's what you just need to give us. You know what they need
to do? And you can be creative within that basic framework of how the dinosaurs smash each other and how the people are, for some reason, around them, but also in peril. Just
maybe they need to have more dinosaurs on dinosaurs, just fighting each other. You know what I mean? Instead of having the very upper hand, the dinosaurs. Maybe have another dinosaur that's like, Now, I'm not...
They got into that a little bit with the first Jurassic World movie that had Chris Pratt.
Oh, yeah, where he's training the raptor.
Exactly. And it just... I don't know. They just haven't been able to execute
it's
consistently
weird.
There.
I can see how that would be weird and hard to get behind.
But this has also just been the story of the Jurassic Park, or now Jurassic World franchise, is you have some real bangers in there. Visually, it's always appealing because of, hey, look at that, dinosaurs. But I think the question as far as does it tip into the really sweet scale, or okay, it's just all right, is how creative are you able to be with your action? Like we've said so many times on this pod, you're an action movie. You got to have amazing action. You can't just be okay at the action. You can be just okay at the story. You can be just okay at the character development. But like Karate Kid Legends, he was just okay in those 2 marks, but the action was really fun. It was really sweet. Yeah.
You're not going to go see Karate Kid for the dialogue.
No, you were not. No, you are not. It's going to be just a lot of screaming in that dialogue.
This movie just needs to know what it is.
Yep.
Don't go too crazy.
Lean into the identity. There is no doubt. So anyhow, those are the next 2 big blockbuster movies coming up on the docket between now and the next time that we pod. And then after that, we're getting into Superman territory.
We're getting an Ironheart territory. Which, by the way, did you see the release schedule of that? They're doing 3 episodes one day and 3 episodes the next day, and it's done.
Really?
Yeah.
No. Ooh.
So I think that's next week, to be honest with you.
That is news.
I think. Don't hold me to it. We kind of already discussed the trailer, and to be honest with you,
there hasn't been any real additional marketing that
to be honest,
pushed out, nor should there be.
We don't need to make any predictions outside of that trailer, because I think that's all that we were really going to get out of it.
Yep.
June 24th?
You're absolutely right. First 3 episodes dropping June 24th. So
and then the week after?
You got it. July 1st, 1 week later.
Damn. Look at me. Look at me go. So we are in the swing.
Right. And as we have said previously, like that feels right-sized. So
I'm glad they're doing 3 and 3. Mm-hmm. I can kind of take it at my own pace then.
Yep. Exactly. Nice. I like how they're getting creative. So good plug, good mention of the TV show, because I was entirely on the movie track. Okay. July 11th is when the Superman movie comes out, and the marketing and build-up for that movie, I mean, we're still a good 3 to 4 weeks out.
Yeah.
Has already been ramping up significantly. We keep getting a new trailer here or there. A lot of it is the same footage of what we've already seen, but they keep implementing a few new scenes here and there. James Gunn did a lengthy interview with our buddies at Rolling Stone, in which he shared a number of nuggets. We're not going to hit every single one of them, but I did think, hey, it'd be worthwhile to settle in, let's say, on a few highlights. So James Gunn, he's 58 years old now. I don't think I would have guessed that. That is actually, that's wild. That's a good decade more than I would have guessed for dear sweet Jimmy. The dude is that close to 60. That's actually crazy. So, a quote from James Gunn from the article, and then we will discuss. So, Rolling Stone asks James, hey, it occurred to us that this particular version of Superman needed a certain version of you, being James Gunn, and a certain version of the audience. Could 2010 James Gunn have made this film? And James Gunn responds with, I don't think the 2020 James Gunn could have made this film. Everybody knows I was offered Superman in 2018. Okay, I didn't know that. They also talked to James about Batman earlier than that, but, says James, I was in the middle of Guardians 3. If they had come to me in 2018 with Batman, I would have said yes, but yeah, I just couldn't wrap my head around it. Okay, so begs the question, all right, what needed to change? And here's where I thought this was particularly fascinating as it pertains to James Gunn. So Rolling Stone says, well, James, what had to change? James says, I needed the right way in, and that required time to think through a few thousand options before I got to the way that I thought worked. But I also think that my life and career has been a gradual softening of the edges. I still like black comedy. I still have edges. I used to like provoking a lot. And today, although I still seem to do it, I don't really like doing that. In my heart, I'm pretty sentimental. I just believe in basic human values. I think Guardians of the Galaxy was a good starter kit for that. So it's the end of the quote. But I thought that was noteworthy, the gradual softening of the edges. Makes me very curious what kind of overall tone we'll get in Superman, because as we know from the Guardians movies, James likes to crack his jokes, right? Likes to poke fun at anything that can be poked fun of. And it would not be difficult to turn this Superman movie into a comedy fest. And shoot, I keep mentioning the Guardians movies, but Creature Commandos was joke after joke after joke. I mean, it felt very, very on brand for James Gunn. What do you think?
I think for him, like if you go back to Guardians of the Galaxy 1, 2, and 3, you do see the increase in the emotional hit. Because Guardians of the Galaxy 3, from an emotional standpoint, is probably the strongest out of the three. Rocket's backstory, by far, one of the most weight to any of his movies. You look at Thor 4, where that backfires, and I think he probably watched that as well and was like, that does not fit the character of Thor. So watching that happen, he's probably looking at Superman and being like, I can't do this with him because I will get murdered out there. And so for him to have that slow, gradual progression into that, so I feel like even the Suicide Squad movie that he directed, if you remember the first one was kind of a mess.
Oh, totally.
And his yes, it's still the Creature Commandos, it's still the Guardians of the Galaxy, this ragtag team of misfits. And yet there's still the weight, the emotional weight to those characters. The Polka Dot Man had terrible mom issues.
Oh my gosh.
And yet when he dies, you're actually a little bummed.
Correct.
I even think of the Peacemaker
his character gets introduced in the very early phases of that movie, and you're like, I can't wait to see this guy die. Can't wait to see Polka Dot Man just get smushed. And he doesn't until later. But you're absolutely right. By the time he does, there's been so much developed in that character that you enjoy having him around. You're bummed when he goes.
But even like Peacemaker, Rick Flag, that fight where Peacemaker ends up winning because Rick Flag's trying to make the right decision at the end of the day. That's tough. That's really tough to watch. So yes, you have all these zaniness, but I think he's figured out how to balance it.
Agreed.
And I think we'll get that. I think Guy Gardner will be his outlet. If we haven't figured that out already, I really do. I think that's half the reason Nathan Fillion's in this movie as Gardner, because that dude will be your joke cracker 100%. So I think he just realized, okay, I need to know what character is the right fit for those spots.
Correct.
I still think this Superman's going to be lighthearted. I think he will crack a couple of jokes here and there, but they're not going to be like raunchy. They're not going to be like
off color.
Right. It'll be more like
that's a good point.
Some normal burglar tries to punch him and be like, I wouldn't do that if I were you. And he punches him. He's like, see, I told you that was a bad idea. That's the kind of humor that Superman will have, I feel like.
Yeah.
And I think he'll nail it. I really do. Mm-hmm. I think he's grown as a person, even in that interview.
Yeah.
And because, we've had James Gunn throughout the years. And so good for him. I'm excited.
Yeah.
I think it just makes this new movie coming out stronger, personally.
Yeah. Let me read another quote from James Gunn. I love what you said, and this just reinforces your take here. This is James Gunn speaking about the character of Superman. So James says, but the very good nature of him, as being Superman, is this really strong belief in what's right. Sometimes, perhaps to a fault, is what makes Superman who he is. And that is not Star-Lord or Rocket. That's not a guy who's angry or covering up his emotions. He's pretty pure. And so getting to the place where I could write that character was a journey. In the past, I would have done it through making fun of the character. And I don't think that's what I do here. I'm less afraid now than I used to be. I allow myself to be purely creative more than I used to. I'm less afraid of being goofy or sentimental or boring or straight. So as counterintuitive as it has seemed for James Gunn to be the gatekeeper for DC Comics and the Superman director and writer in particular, when he's saying things like that, and I think part of what has to help him, we've mentioned this before, is the inclusion of all of these other characters around Superman that are really unique, that are odd, that are weird, like Metamorpho, like Mr. Terrific. Like these are more outlandish characters of sorts. I think that helps James scratch that itch, or even, as you mentioned, Guy Gardner. There are Green Lanterns, and then there's Guy Gardner. Like he's his own brand of Green Lantern. He does not fit the particular mold that the core is looking for. But I think that is how James Gunn is able to both, again, scratch his itch of wanting to be a little goofy, a little off color, and he uses those characters to the effect of when you're putting Superman next to those characters, their strongest qualities get revealed, right? And so that's a great way to examine the character of Superman around other heroes and not just the primary. And this is what we've had in so many other, if not every other Superman movie, is you're seeing Superman contrasted with the villain. Well, what if we contrast him with some heroes? Sure, the villain is still there, but put some other heroes around him to help draw out the best qualities of him as well. I think that's really neat.
Agreed.
Yeah. Yep. That's really cool. I think for me too, it's so unique. And what I appreciate about this is James Gunn in this interview is not like trying to make himself come off as a better person necessarily, because he's being very transparent about how as recently as in 2020, he's like, I would not have been the right fit for this character at that time. And he's not saying that to disparage who he was in 2020, but just to commentate as honestly as he can about how his own life in his own way, he has grown and changed, hopefully for the better, but changed nonetheless. So I think that's pretty stinking sweet. Find one other quote here that I wanted to hit up on. And I enjoy this. I enjoy this so much. What a unique dude, by the way. I think I told you this. I can't believe he's had the same haircut forever.
Yeah. He also did Scooby-Doo 2 Monsters Unleashed, which one of the greatest movies of all time.
You've always been a really big fan of the live action Scooby-Doo movies.
He actually executive produced that movie, so he wrote it. One of the two.
Yeah.
He's very heavily involved in the second one. I watched that movie as a kid all the time. Still love it. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Some great one-liners in those movies.
Yep.
Highly recommend the live-action Scooby-Doo. And it's a damn shame we only got 2 of those movies. I can't believe we only got 2.
How in this era of everything getting like continued or remade or rebooted, how are we not getting more Scooby-Doo? That's a problem.
I mean, we're getting animated stuff all the time, but another live-action movie shot? That is actually surprising.
Yep.
So,
All right, last quote we'll hit on this article. And again, can't recommend reading this article enough. You can find it on rollingstone.com. You can obviously buy a physical copy of the magazine, but super worthwhile interview. All right, James Gunn is talking about how now we're pulling the telescope back a little bit and looking at things from a wider view for DC Studios. So Rolling Stone starts here by more saying than asking. That's one of the biggest rules you've made for DC, that they have to have finished scripts before you produce the movie. Now James Gunn says, yeah, we just killed a project. Everybody wanted to make the movie. He's not telling us what the name of the movie is. But James says it was greenlit, ready to go. The screenplay wasn't ready. And I couldn't do a movie where the screenplay's not good. And we've been really lucky so far because Supergirl's script was so effing good off the bat. The Lanterns came in and the script was so effing good. Clayface, same thing, so effing good. So we have these scripts that we've been really lucky with, or wise in our choices, or whatever that combination is. So I thought that was really
You feel like that would be a no-brainer.
Uh-huh.
You feel like the script would be ready to go before you greenlight a movie. Like you can say that you want, I don't know, a Batman movie.
Yeah.
But if you don't have a script for the Batman movie, guess what? You don't have a movie. That's silly to me.
No, I think it really depends. So Tom Cruise and Christopher McQuarrie, who have made the last 3-4 Mission Impossible movies together, are notorious for starting their productions well before they have finished the screenplay on those movies. And I was watching an interview with Christopher McQuarrie a week or so ago, and he prefers making the movie this way and so does Tom Cruise, so that as they're going through the production process, if they go, you know what, let's change this, they have and feel the freedom to adjust the approach based on whatever the circumstances were that inspired the new idea. Now, obviously, they have enough plotted out where they're not going, we have 0% of what the ending is going to look like. They have some concepts or some ideas, but they haven't calcified it yet. Now, I think why they can be these rule breakers, though, is that they're also the producers of these movies. So really, they're coming to themselves going, hey, so Tom, Chris, do you feel, let's go ahead and change that. Obviously, there's a relationship with the studio that matters there, so they don't have complete carte blanche. But point is, not everybody can, and especially not everybody should, be approaching the production process in that fashion.
This is also not the first one they're doing. This is 7.
Exactly right.
8.
Exactly right.
They already know what they want.
Right.
So
there is no doubt. So I totally agree with your posture, with James Gunn's posture. And I think a lot of it comes back to when you ask, well, how on earth does this movie get greenlit and start production if the screenplay isn't done? It's not for good reasons. It's for a strictly speaking, well, we got to make the money. So let's hurry up and get this produced so that people will come see it and we'll make some money off of it. As opposed to what James Gunn is saying, which is we're going to take our time and we're not going to say we have to have this character in a movie or in a show at this time. We're going to actually allow that process to take place more organically, in the sense of when a writer is able to come to us and deliver a script that we look at and go, this is a banger, even if it's about freaking Clayface, who I could give 2 hoots about having his own show or movie.
That's crazy.
It's crazy.
It is insane.
It's insane. And in fairness, it also makes sense, because if you can do, and this is where the James Gunnness comes in, and he's right. He's like, yeah, we made a Guardians of the Galaxy movie, and then we made 2 more, and they were all terrific, and people loved the story that we told. It's about characters that none of us knew about prior to that first movie. So that's where he is perhaps the best fit to be this comic book movie czar for DC and gatekeeper of what are we making? It doesn't matter if it's Batman or if it's Clayface or if it's Green Arrow or Black Canary. It matters, do we have a good story to tell, regardless of which character it is. That is a very different take. And credit, he's made it work. So we'll see. Again, read the article for yourselves. Super worthwhile. I don't know if there's an audio version out there. James is a fun guy to listen to. That'd be pretty sweet if there is. But just gets me that much more excited for here in a few weeks.
Yeah, and I'm guessing we're not getting Batman in that Clayface movie.
No, James, that was another, and we won't spend a ton of time on this, but James Gunn in the interview says, Batman is my biggest problem right now. It's like trying to figure out a way in, because, and here's one of the reasons why it's a problem, so to speak, he is trying to be really respectful of Matt Reeves, the Batman movie, and that potential world that can continue to be built and revealed. Obviously, it's taking Matt Reeves a good chunk of time, but James isn't trying to steamroll that production process and pull that plug. So there's a delicate, thread to try and, or needle to try and thread right there. So makes it tougher.
Fun.
Yeah, a lot of fun to look forward to what's ahead. Further ado, let's get into, at last, another classic JP and the Beans top 5. Today's top 5 are our top 5 movie or show protagonists, non-comic book division. So if you're in Marvel or if you're in DC, sorry, you are DQ'd. You're disqualified.
I'm about to say we should specify it's more superheroes than anything.
Correct. So if you're coming from either of those realms, you need not participate. Set this one out. This is not for you. So without further ado, our top 5. Beans, you go first.
Well, I feel like I'm going to really set the tone here.
I'm excited for
At number 5, I am taking probably one of the greatest leaders to ever grace the movie screen.
Wow.
And that is Optimus Prime. I have Optimus Prime. If you ever want to be inspired or get chills down your spine, go watch an Optimus Prime speech.
Just listen to him.
Dude, I could go to war for Optimus Prime, and I know I'm not going to do anything.
Yep.
I'm going to get flicked right across the battlefield, and I'm dead. That's how it's going to go. But guess what? I'm out there, dude. I am running full steam ahead. And just think, after the first movie, he's saying Autobots reaching out to the stars, and then Linkin Park is playing in the background, and you're like, let's go. Optimus Prime, awesome. Never. By the way, his voice actor for those movies, phenomenal.
Just tremendous.
Go watch Transformers movies. Those movies are highly underrated,
full of gravel,
and overly criticized, extremely. Yeah. So go watch those. That's my number 5, Optimus Prime.
I love that. All the flowers to Optimus. All the flowers. What an absolute dude. And even in the most recent iteration in the Transformers 1 movie, where Chris Hemsworth is voicing the earliest version we've ever seen of Optimus Prime, love that movie. Now, Chris Hemsworth is not the voice that I hear in my mind when I'm playing Optimus in my brain, but Chris did a nice job. So, Optimus, great pull. Okay. My number 5 is Maximus from Gladiator, as portrayed by dear sweet Russell Crowe. Just the epitome of dude with sword taking names. Absolutely fantastic. The journey that Maximus goes on from general to slave to gladiator, always battling for good, the tragedy that he endures, where, listen, the movie came out in 2000. It's been 25 years. If you haven't seen it yet, oh my gosh.
I haven't seen it. Go ahead and talk.
I forgive you. I still love you. You got to see it. It's incredible. Maximus is my number 5. I'm just not spoiling it just for you. Good grief. What am I doing as your friend?
I put my fingers in my ear holes so you could go on your spiel.
Unbelievable.
I gave you the floor.
Unbelievable.
That's a good friend.
Okay, I'm tying you up and we're watching that movie. My number 4, that's what it takes. My number 4 is Jason Bourne from
that's a good trilogy, pull,
right?
I watched that this last year with my mom, because my mom loves those movies so much.
They're so good.
They are good.
They're so good. Now, the original trilogy, absolute bangers. Yes, Matt Damon chose to come back from a 4th movie titled if I recall correctly, like just Jason Bourne. It was fine, but it just was it doesn't need to be here. This doesn't need to, we're trying a little too hard here. So I'm honing in on the original trilogy. When we had our dialogue earlier on this pod about all the creative ways in which John Wick and John Wick folks have killed fools, I'll tell you what, Jason Bourne is the original. Find a creative way to turn an everyday item into a weapon. I can think of pens, I can think of magazines, books. Actually, literature comes into play quite a bit here. But Jason, extraordinarily creative, great hand-to-hand combatant. And his journey, listen, the action is the meat of this character, of course, but his journey of self-redemption, really solid. Really
just trying to figure out who he is.
Just trying to figure out who he is. Wouldn't we all like to know? What a great thing. So Jason Bourne, my number 4. Your number 4. Sir.
My number 4. We already talked about him. La Baba Yaga, dude.
Yes.
It is John Wick.
Yes.
Keanu Reeves. Can we just talk about the return of Keanu Reeves to the movie screens? I feel like this John Wick movie, the first one, was really what brought him back. And boy, did it bring him back. The storyline was amazing in the first one. They're like, oh, this is really good. Let's do it again. And so they go on this whole journey, 4 movies,
right,
and a spinoff. Each movie, they build off from the last. They don't stay in one lane. They're going to different cities across the world. John is a murder machine, and he is awesome. And everybody, just the way other characters talk about John Wick, like they don't even want to say his name.
No.
Because he is pretty much the angel of death in that world. I love it. John Wick is my number 4.
That's great. And I like what you said too about, hey, the resuscitation of Keanu Reeves back into our daily lives, shall we say. He needed, God bless him, and this is the trade-off, right, when you're in a cultural phenomenon, but his role in the Matrix just made it impossible for a good stretch of time for him to be able to be in just about anything else or any other type of character. That's not to say that he's extraordinarily different in John Wick as in the Matrix, but he's different enough. And it was a strong enough change that, hey, there we go. There's our guy Keanu again. Thank goodness. We gave him something fresh to do. So,
and with a beard and long hair.
Keep it.
Like he came.
Don't you ever go back to that slick-haired Neo crap again. You keep that long hair and that beard.
But like even his look evolved.
Yep.
So, and he's just the nicest guy. He seems like the nicest guy anyways.
And by all accounts, he's just a tremendous human being.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, John Wick,
number 4. Great number 4. You're number 3, sir.
My number 3. We're going to Star Wars. I've got my boy, Ewan McGregor, Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yep.
That was my childhood.
Yep.
Okay. One of the key factors in my childhood was Obi-Wan. Mm-hmm. He was amazing in the first one. He was amazing in the second one. And we can quote Anakin versus Obi-Wan back and forth all day long because that is arguably the best lightsaber fight in all of Star Wars. Arguably. So his character's great. I don't need to say too much about Obi-Wan. It's Obi-Wan freaking Kenobi. By the way, badass name. Okay? Going from Ben Kenobi, old Ben Kenobi, to Obi-Wan.
Is it not just like the best Star Wars name?
It is.
Right? Like if we were to do a top 5 Star Wars names, which, I'm kind of disappointed now that we didn't. Feel like we dropped the ball there, but we'll fire ourselves and then we hire ourselves. It is the best Star Wars name. There's no doubt.
Yeah. So, Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
And then, real quick,
him
and his show.
Do it.
Him and his show as well. As not as good as the show could have been.
Yeah, but that wasn't his fault.
No, he was still great in it.
No. Let me spoil this for you. Obi-Wan is my number 3 as well. Okay. So I know.
We're smart.
This is rare alignment for us because I totally agree on the show. He was terrific. Ewan McGregor was terrific. The character of Obi-Wan was a delight to see. And even his character trajectory in that show was fun and enjoyable to witness and to observe. So the fact that we had his character in that most recently produced live action adaptation. We've had the animated version of Obi-Wan, which was excellent. We've had the Obi-Wan in the prequel trilogy. We have the Obi-Wan in the original trilogy. He's tremendous every single time. Great character.
I think he's also the most quotable Star Wars character. Uh-huh. Hello there.
Yeah.
Phenomenal line. All right, phenomenal line.
Well, and this is one of the marks, I think, of a great protagonist is extraordinarily relatable and accessible because the guy goes through more than his share of failure, right? And still comes out the other side. He has that season, of course, where he hermits up a little bit, but that was the best part, I thought, of the Obi-Wan show was when he encounters Leia and he comes out of that hermitage shell. That was tremendous. That was just great to see.
I mean, yeah, if you think about the character, failed his master in his head, failed his Padawan, failed the love life, his love interest, which is in the show, the Clone Wars show, failed her. Mm-hmm. So, those are big things. Those are big relationships that just have to take.
Big L's.
So, yeah, Obi-Wan.
Love that. That's a great number 3. Great number 3. Like I said, my number 3 as well. My number 2 is the character of Wesley from The Princess Bride. This was for me, let's see, when did The Princess Bride come out? 1980.
I respect that poll. Yeah. Not at all where I thought you were going to go, but I respect it.
So this came out in 1987, year I was born, all right? And obviously I did not watch it the year I was born, but it's not an exaggeration to say that this was the first live action movie that I saw that really stuck with me in a positive and influential way. The character of Wesley, the dread pirate Roberts, the sword fighting, the swashbuckling, the chasing after his fair maiden, the partnering up with freaking Andre the Giant. Come on.
Rest in peace.
R.I.P. Andre. What a great character, both when he is at his physical best and his physical least. A heroic, swashbuckling, self-sacrificing hero, Wesley from The Princess Bride, is my number 2. Your number 2, sir.
My number 2, it's Turtle Power. I got Michelangelo from the Ninja Turtles as my number 2.
That's fantastic.
I love Mikey.
That's fantastic.
That's my guy. One of the 3 formative characters that have formed my personality, probably the most, is Michelangelo.
Great.
I love the nunchucks. Yep. They're sick. I remember one of the video games you can kick and fly with them. It's hilarious.
It's amazing.
So it's Mikey.
It's great.
I'm not going to go too far into that.
No, good job. Number 2. That's a solid number 2. Your number 1.
My number 1, Indiana Jones. One of my favorite movies of all time. Raiders of the Lost Ark. My grandfather graced the screen as Indiana Jones. And it was fantastic. It's one of the best movies of all time.
It's fantastic.
The third one.
Yep. Oh, The Last Crusade.
The Last Crusade. So fantastic.
Yep.
Look, they were 2.5 out of 5. All right? Like, they nailed the first one. They nailed the third one. It's one of those franchises that I'm also just, amazed was not more successful just because the premise of that franchise is so fantastic.
Yeah. Well, you're young enough and I'm old enough to remember. I'm able to remember when that franchise held more what I'm going to call relevancy. It really did. It was peak pop culture. And the sad thing is it kind of shot itself in both knees with the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. That really was a tough re-emergence of the character, and it would have been a better off. Let's just leave him be. But from what I understand, you saw the 5th one and really enjoyed it, correct?
It was better than the 4th one.
There you go.
It was.
There you go.
Look, with number 5, it was
phenomenal character. You're absolutely right. It's a terrific character.
It's a solid 6. The last one.
Yes.
It's not I would watch it again, but it's not.
Yeah.
It is not Raiders.
Yep.
It is not Last Crusade. It is not those two.
Yep.
Those two are off on their own.
Yep.
Nothing is better than watching Indy and his dad go back and forth. The fact that relationship didn't move into another movie is insane to me. That blows my mind.
That's
it 100% blows my mind.
Yeah.
So no, it's by far Indiana Jones. Yeah. Is my number one.
Love it. Great pick. My number one is Aragorn from the Lord of the Rings trilogy.
I should have guessed that.
It's been a good guess. You would have nailed it. Again, I'm a sucker for character progression and the path that this character takes and what we get to witness of this character from movie one. Gosh, it's probably not until an hour into the movie that he comes on the screen. He's originally introduced to us as Strider, which not a bad alias, by the way. Like, if you're going to have an alias, good one to pick. And then by the end of the trilogy, he's the High King of all men. He has, most importantly, transformed and taken on an excessive amount of burdens and mantles that no one besides him could bear. Absolutely delightful to see that character progression. My guy Aragorn is my number one.
Well, there you go.
So there you are. Beans, we've done it again.
That wraps it.
Another phenomenal episode. Anything else for the good people out there?
No, we're going to put a bow on it. Thank you all for listening and continue to listen.
Indeed.
And,
Indeed.
Godspeed.
Peace.